we want to win the first case, which we think we will, to not only win for these people, but to send a message to these woke corporations that you don't do this to people in the United States of America. We have religious freedom here, and you can't tell me that you're going to take away my paycheck because I follow the Lord.
All right, we have told you many, many times, we're here because we love you. We encourage you to love the overlooked because Jesus said, if you really want to know who the sheep are the ones that notice the ones nobody notices, the least of these. Okay, we ask them to do that, they do it. But we also tell you the power of prayer. And I've said over and over, the stage is set for the greatest awakening in the history of the world. We need it. I think it's necessary. I think if we don't have that awakening, we're going to lose freedom. I think the awakening has begun. Our courts are going to wake up. Our school boards are going to wake up. Our population, our churches are going to wake up. They're going to actually get to where they'll get along even when they disagree. They don't have to divorce. We don't have to amputate the members of the body that happen to be sick, diseased, or crippled. That's what we do in churches. We disagree with you. That's what they do in Congress. We disagree. Cut them off. Stop the nonsense. That's what awakening will do. We will understand that we can love God. Wait a minute. You won't love your neighbor right if you don't love God. If you take away divine providence and the Creator, you just took away what birthed the greatest nation in history. Yes, you did. Now we're restoring that. That's awakening, and it's happening. Kelly Shackelford is one of the greatest instruments of God, in my opinion, to help bring about this awakening. I think you'd probably say, I think I'm a part of the awakening, and I'm just a part of the answered prayers of all these millions of people who decided God does answer prayer. How about we do it? And how about we do it together and quit fighting each other and start praying for what matters? Would you say that what you're seeing is answered prayer?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's beyond my prayers. I hadn't been praying big enough. God's doing dramatic things. And again, winning 2 cases at the Supreme Court within 6 days on religious freedoms that are huge cases is big. But if we think we did it.
By the way, those are bigger than the Roe versus Wade, and you don't understand. Roe versus Wade, they didn't even address abortion or they addressed life. But what they really addressed was the Constitution was violated by the Supreme Court. You totally violated it. You didn't do what you're here to do. And you're basically diminishing the authority of the other branches of government. I mean, it was correcting the court. The court corrected itself, and it needed to. That was a miracle answered prayer.
Amen.
But it did deal with a very terrible decision that never should have been made. They gave license to murder, but we had already given license to have the sexuality and the free sex, no boundaries, whatever you want, that produces these babies that you don't want. And now we're killing the babies, but we already killed what caused the baby by saying it doesn't matter. Commitment, relationship, marriage doesn't matter. We redefine marriage. We redefine. Once you take God out, you just dismissed everything freedom stands on. Your future, your security, your resources, your benefits, your prosperity, your joy, your peace. Okay, I'm sorry. I preach.
Well,
okay.
Responding to you, God just entered back into the arena, okay, in a dramatic way. And I'll just give people a little bit of a feel. You know, there's a case called Lemon v. Kurtzman that is sort of the Roe v. Wade of religious liberty. It has caused all this hostility to religion our whole lifetimes. If you ask, why are they taking nativity scenes down? Why are they going after a veterans memorial because it's got a cross on it? Why are they telling a kid that they can't pray at graduation? Why are they doing all these things?
Aren't they attacking people in the military, even like the SEALs?
Yes.
But aren't they attacking everything they can attack that really does matter?
And this Lemon case is really what caused it. It's not the Constitution. It was 50 years ago. 2 years apart from Roe v. Wade.
Wow.
And 4 years ago, we had a case, a veterans memorial. It was put up almost 100 years ago by mothers who lost their sons in World War I.
Well.
And it came under attack by the American Humanist Association saying, you got to tear that down. That's on government property. And at the Court of Appeals, the federal judge said, you know, why don't we just cut the arms off the cross? That way nobody will be offended and we won't have to tear it down.
Oh, God.
And so we went to the Supreme Court, them having declared that unconstitutional, and instead of just saying, don't you dare touch this memorial, we said, maybe it's time, because we saw Kavanaugh on the court and Gorsuch, 2 new judges appointed by President Trump. We said, we might have 5 votes to get rid of this Lemon case that's causing all this problem. So we asked them to do that. And we knew that was a pretty uphill battle after 50 years. For the first time, the court, 5-4, said, we're not following Lemon. We're not going to do that. And that meant really a dramatic sort of crack in the armor. But we knew to take this into the schools, where all the religion in schools, the hostility there that has been because of Lemon, we knew that was maybe a 10, 15-year project. And so we had the Coach Kennedy case come up.
By the way, let me ask you about the Lemon case. With this case being in place, had it stayed in place, is that part of the justification that meant you could tear down any statue, no matter how magnificent it was, if that person was guilty of something that we don't approve, and so we can rip it off because it's on government property? Did it give license to a lot of the nonsense too that we see?
No, it's different from that. It's essentially saying that when religion is anywhere near government, you have to push religion away.
Wow.
It's a way to push religion.
That's not what our founders did,
No,
Not even close.
It's a perversion of the Constitution. And so I say this somewhat ashamed of not understanding how God is much more powerful than me. But we have to do what we think it's supposed to do. And so after we won the Bladensburg Cross case, I sat down with all of our attorneys and we said, it'll probably take us 10 or 15 years to get this victory into the public schools. Let's strategize on how we're going to get there step by step.
Now we're talking Kennedy?
Well, Kennedy came up,
We...
and Kennedy's banned from praying after the game. But we were like, we can't go that far that quick. So we didn't ask for them to throw Lemon out after 50 years in the public schools. There's over 30,000 citations to Lemon in the public school cases. So it was like, that's a little crazy. So we're not going to go that far. We're just going to win Kennedy. We're going to win freedoms for every teacher, for every coach, for in the public schools. This was the first case ever.
Did it win for the students too? That might want to mention their relationship with God?
Well, there had never been a case ever at the Supreme Court on the rights of coaches or teachers with regard to their faith.
Wow.
There is now. But this is a God thing. We're in the middle of the oral argument at the Supreme Court, and out of nowhere, again, we didn't ask for this, Justice Kavanaugh and Justice Gorsuch start saying, why don't we get rid of Lemon? And we're sitting in the court with our eyes this big, and sure enough, the decision comes down, and everybody knows Coach Kennedy won, that he's going back on that field, he's going to go to a knee after the game, and he's going to say a prayer.
I bet half the stadium's coming with him.
But almost no one knows that Lemon was thrown out in that case. And 50 years of hostility to religion just went out. And I want you to think about every community in the country. All the cases where they were told, you can't have that monument. You can't have that prayer. You can't do that thing. Okay?
You can't have that holiday display that points to something biblical, like the birth of Jesus.
All of those cases are now unearthed. Okay? Everybody can now put all those things in every one of these communities. This is a rebirth of religious freedom in America, and this is a much bigger case than people knew. But I just want to point out, we were trying to be diligent. We were fighting, but we had no idea how quickly God was moving. He moved way quicker than we could move.
Somebody bigger than you guys or the court is moving. Folks, that's prayer. Listen, I love you so much. You make it possible for us to love people that didn't think anybody even knew they were even a person, that they even mattered, and you showed them they mattered to God and to us. And right now, God is saying, do you realize that all of these things still matter to me, your Father? And I can deliver. And I told you, if you'll humble yourselves and you'll pray, and you'll seek my face, my pleasure, not just my works, not just my hand. And you'll turn from wicked ways, which we have been funding wicked ways. We have been funding with our money that goes to the government to fund all this wickedness and all this nonsense in the schools, teaching against the God that gave us the ability to have any kind of schools, which used to be built around the Word of God. Now we got a chance to return to that. Wouldn't it be great if all of our courts had principled? Wouldn't it be great if everybody in Congress wasn't Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or conservative? What if they were just people that loved the God that loves them so much He gave His Son, and they actually loved their neighbor? What if all these people stood up and put people in place. And by the way, not perfect people. The Bible wasn't written by perfect people. God uses imperfect people. That gives us all hope. But he says, look, just put my principles in place and do them. And you build an unshakable relationship, an unshakable business. You can build a country that can be unshakable, that can defeat the Soviet Union without firing a shot, that can defeat Syria with drones and not soldiers. There is nothing people created in the image of God can't do if they would just let him be God. Am I okay preaching to an attorney?
Absolutely.
Am I okay, sir?
And I'll take it further, which is this all comes from the people who've been supporting you, the people who've been supporting First Liberty, that together this thing is rising up.
Yes,
it's an opportunity, but we have to be faithful with the opportunity. I mean, we still got some big battles ahead of us.
Well, I'm excited because just as you said, the doors have been swung wide open.
Yes.
Folks, it's okay to stand up and fight the good fight.
Yes.
This is a good fight.
Yes, it
And
is.
all of those cases that you've got going now, those are good fights.
You know, you know what I think of, Betty, is I think of Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Oh, I love him.
His famous thing when he was banned from the Soviet Union was live not by lies. And what he said is these totalitarian regimes that take away freedom, they all exist by forcing people to go along with the lies. And we're seeing a lot of that now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you've got
Liars prevail.
and they're pushing. But what's the answer that Solzhenitsyn said? It doesn't take a majority. It just takes enough people who will stand and speak the truth. And when you do, these totalitarian regimes can't handle the truth. They collapse. And he tells the story in this book, Live Not by Lies, by Rod Dreher recently, about how in every one of these communist countries, that's what happened. Who are the people that are going to speak the truth? It's happening now, and God's allowing us the freedom if we'll just open up. And all of our cases are people like Coach Kennedy. He's not a big star or big...
He wasn't a big public speaker.
No, but God called him and said, I want you to stand for me.
Yeah.
And we've got Navy SEALs we're representing.
But he did need you and First Liberty and people like you to stand for him.
Amen.
And people like you made it possible for him to do what they do. People like you make it possible for me to go and speak the truth to power. And I've been doing that now for over 40 years. Everybody knows I'm not promoting a party or a personality. I am promoting the principles confirmed by history, biblical truth to power. That's what I do. And when they hear it, and they do, and they have, and you've seen every time they hear it and heed it, the people are blessed.
Amen.
Everything goes better. Even in the midst of challenges, it goes better. And right now, the stage is set for the greatest move of God in history. If there's another case or two that everybody needs to be focusing their attention on, and by the way, now that we have the liberty to express ourselves, let's do it. Let's express it not only by more private schools being birthed, which, you know, what Pete Hegseth has written in the Battle for the American Mind is just phenomenal. And the school system that the man basically is helping oversee, that is so great, has, I think right now, 400 schools. It could have 10,000 schools in a matter of months. But the point is, we could actually change our public schools into being schools again of the people that actually teach people to think and not to buy somebody's point of view and be a part of a woke movement or whatever movement they want to push on them. So we really do have a chance. So what kind of things do our people need to be praying about?
Well, number one on the list would be the Navy SEALs case that we have.
There you go.
Because what's happening right now, tens of thousands of military families are being thrown out of the military.
Isn't that sad?
And they're having, for instance, one yesterday who just came out, 19 years. Their pension vests at 20 years. Okay? They were using the pension and everything they're going to do to take care of their disabled daughter. That's all now going to be stripped away.
That's so sad.
Why? Because a number of these people, a large number of them, have religious objections to taking an experimental vaccine into their body, which is the temple of God. They, you know, whatever their beliefs, whether you agree with their beliefs or not, those are their beliefs. And the federal law tells you, if you're in the military, that if you have a religious objection, you have a right to a religious accommodation, if it's at all available. These 35 Navy SEALs, for example, 350 years of service, many of them PTSD for what they've done for our country. Most of them have
and
had.
they can lose all their support,
They're going to
everything.
take everything away from him. One of them was on his way to his doctor's appointment for PTSD. They called and said, cancel it. Do not meet with him because he won't violate his faith.
Is this going to the Supreme Court, does it look like?
I think it will eventually. Here's the good news,
God,
James.
do it. God, do it and change it.
We won an injunction that this was wrong, that this was unconstitutional, and that this was outrageous on many levels. We won a confirmation of that at the Court of Appeals. It was so good that they expanded this beyond the SEALs to a class action, and the judge protected everybody in the Navy. We've now filed on behalf of the Air Force. We're going to try to cover everybody, but they're being thrown out daily as we talk. And this is something I would encourage everybody to pray for. You might know General Boykin. He said to me recently, he said, this is destroying our military. Because if you can't trust the people to take care of you, you can't trust them. And he said he's hearing family after family saying, our whole generation after generation has been in the military, no more after what's going on right now and what they're doing to these people. And General Boykin looked at me with water in his eyes and said, your case might save the military. Yeah. We have got to have prayer for this. We've got to protect these people. They can't protect themselves in these situations. They're honoring God by what they're doing. They're trying to be faithful. They're following the law, and they're being really savaged because of this. And this is not coming from their commanders. This is coming from Washington, D.C. And so we've got to win these cases. I really encourage people to pray for these. That would be number one. The number two is all the cases we have of people who are working in corporations who have gone woke with their new woke religion, and they're trying to force their employees to violate their faith. That violates federal law, and we are representing people across the country.
Definitely violates the Constitution.
And we've got to win these cases. When we want to win the first case, which we think we will, to not only win for these people, but to send a message to these woke corporations that you don't do this to people in the United States of America. We have religious freedom here, and you can't tell me that you're going to take away my paycheck because I follow the Lord.
Father, you enable Kelly and others like him to fight the good fight of faith. All of you right here now looking at me. First Liberty Institute. First Liberty Institute. You go there. You ask Kelly to send you his report, and you pray. And if you can, you support them. Kelly, I'm going to ask our leadership at Life to start sending you a check every month. Betty and I are going to stand with you. I want all our viewers to. And then we're going to keep up. We're going to try to post all these things that matter on the stream. The stream is there every day. You're going to hear this. You're not only hearing on the stream, but you're going to hear what people need to hear on our program Life Today, Betty, because we love people too much to try to just defend what we think. Mm-hmm. We want what God thinks and knows and what our founders understood that gave us the greatest freedom the world has ever experienced. And we only stay free when we know the truth that sets us free. That same truth keeps us free. Betty, we want everybody to go to First Liberty. And you wanted to say something about what you know they'll find?
I really do. I want to say something directly to you. As a Christian, I know you believe in prayer and the power of prayer. We've seen it just in what Kelly shared in these programs. So go to his website and see how you can pray for all the different cases that are before him right now, because we see the difference that prayer makes. So do that, please.
That'll mean a lot to you, won't it, buddy?
Amen.
Do you feel loved when you come over here to Life?
I do. How could I, only if you're not here, I wouldn't. You know, you and Betty here. There's no hope for me not feeling love.
We love you so much, buddy. Hey, firstliberty.org.
That's right.
All right, and support him, and get that report. And we're going to be sharing it on the stream all the time too. Thank you, buddy.
God bless you.
Thank all of you for watching. Thanks for sharing God's love in His life. You're awesome, and we love you.